so get this. We're going to deep dive into this prediction that XRP could actually flip Ethereum in market cap. You heard right. We're talking about Messari analyst Sam Ruskin's take. Laid it all out in a recent article on crypto.news. So let's unpack this. What's fueling this prediction? What's got XRP surging? And is Ethereum actually on shaky ground?
It's definitely a fascinating scenario to consider. And to really understand it, we need to kind of look at both sides of this whole thing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we can't ignore the elephant in the room. XRP's price has skyrocketed like 460% since the election in 2024. That's not just a blip, that's a statement.
Absolutely. And Ruskin connects this surge to a lot of factors, some stemming from global events and others more specifically from within the crypto space.
Right. He points to things like Trump coming back into the White House and speculation around his stance on crypto, particularly a potential U.S. spot XRP ETF.
It is very interesting how global politics play into this. Trump's inauguration may be a catalyst, especially with the potential for capital gains tax policies that could benefit U.S.-based crypto projects like XRP. And then you've got the possibility of that US spot XRP ETF. That would be huge, opening up XRP to a much wider pool of investors.
Yeah, it's like all the stars are aligning for XRP right now. Speaking of broader trends, there's this interesting rise of what Ruskin calls boomer coins. We're talking established cryptocurrencies like XRP, HBAR, Stellar, even Cardano, and all of a sudden they're back in the spotlight. What do you think is driving that?
Well, there's definitely a flight to familiarity happening.
Yeah.
Especially with all the volatility we've seen in the market recently. But I think it goes a little deeper than that. If you look at these boomer coins, many of them, especially XRP, have a strong focus on real-world utility, particularly in the financial sector. They're not just about speculation. They're actually trying to solve tangible problems.
So it's not just nostalgia, it's function.
Exactly, and that resonates with investors, especially institutions who are looking for stability and those clear use cases. Now, on the Ethereum side, things aren't quite as rosy. They're facing some serious headwinds.
Yeah, Ethereum's been kind of struggling, hasn't it?
It has, and I think one of the main challenges is competition. You've got layer 2 scaling solutions that are gaining traction, offering faster and cheaper transactions while still leveraging Ethereum's security. And then you have all these other blockchains like Solana really nipping at its heels, all vying for that top spot in the decentralized finance space.
Yeah, it's a crowded playing field out there. And Ruskin specifically highlights the decline in retail interest in ETH. He points to the relatively smaller market cap of ETH ETFs compared to BTC ETFs. That seems like a pretty clear signal.
It definitely raises some concerns. While institutional interest in ETH remains pretty strong, retail investors seem to be a little less enthusiastic. And this kind of ties into another point Ruskin makes, which is Ethereum's fragmented community.
Okay, can you break that down for me? What exactly does a fragmented community mean in this context?
Well, think about it this way. Ethereum has this vast and diverse ecosystem, right? You've got tons of developers, projects, stakeholders, each with their own vision for the platform. And that can definitely lead to disagreements, even forks in the blockchain, which can be pretty confusing and off-putting even for some investors. For example, remember all the debates surrounding the Ethereum improvement proposals, the EIPs, or the different scaling solutions. That's a great example of this fragmentation in action.
So basically, lots of cooks in the kitchen, and they're not always on the same page.
Precisely, and that lack of a unified vision, it can really create uncertainty and hinder growth. Now contrast that with XRP.
Right, XRP seems to have a much clearer, more cohesive kind of community.
Exactly, there's a sense of purpose there, a clear understanding of what XRP is trying to achieve in the financial world. This clarity, coupled with the potential for an XRP ETF, could really give it a significant edge in attracting both institutional and retail investors.
So we've got XRP riding this wave of momentum, fueled by regulatory possibilities, unified vision, while Ethereum's kind of grappling with fragmentation and that wane in retail interest. It's a really intriguing dynamic. But let's get specific. How likely is it that XRP actually flips Ethereum? What needs to happen?
Well, that is the million-dollar question, isn't it? And to answer it, we need to dive into the specifics of Ruskin's analysis. He lays out some pretty compelling arguments. So Ruskin predicts XRP could see like a 35 to 50% price jump in the months following Trump's inauguration. But is that actually realistic? To understand that, I think we need to look beyond just the hype and really analyze the factors at play.
Yeah, so what's driving this prediction? Is it all Trump and the ETF?
Those are definitely key drivers, but I think there's more to it. Remember, XRP has been building momentum for a while now. Consistent development, partnerships, a growing user base, for instance, Ripple's on-demand liquidity or ODL solution. uses XRP for cross-border payments, has been gaining traction with financial institutions worldwide. That's a real-world use case that's actually demonstrating the value of XRP.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's not just hype. There's substance behind this price surge.
Exactly, and if you combine that underlying growth with the potential for positive regulatory developments in the US, specifically the approval of a spot XRP ETF, the 35 to 50% prediction starts to look a lot more attainable.
Okay, so a combination of organic growth and regulatory tailwinds. But let's play devil's advocate for a sec. What are the potential roadblocks here? What could derail this whole XRP train?
Well, one obvious risk is the ongoing legal battle between Ripple and the SEC. While recent rulings have been pretty favorable for Ripple, the case isn't fully resolved. Any adverse developments there could definitely cast a shadow over XRP and dampen investor sentiment.
Right, that legal cloud is still lingering for sure. What else should investors be wary of?
Well, competition, for one. The crypto space is incredibly dynamic, even if XRP surpasses Ethereum. It's not a guarantee of long-term dominance. New players are emerging all the time, and existing ones are constantly innovating. To stay ahead of the curve, XRP will need to continue to evolve and demonstrate its value. Think of it like a tech company. Even if they have a great product today, they need to keep pushing the boundaries, right, to remain competitive.
That's a great analogy. And of course, we can't forget the inherent volatility of the entire crypto market. Even with all the positive factors we've talked about, a sudden market downturn could wipe out gains and shift sentiment very quickly.
Absolutely. Volatility is a double-edged sword. Creates opportunities for rapid growth, but also exposes investors to significant risk. I think prudent risk management and a long-term perspective are absolutely crucial in navigating this space.
Okay, so it's a pretty nuanced picture. A lot has to go right for XRP to truly take the crown, but the potential is definitely there. Now, you mentioned earlier that a US spot XRP ETF would be a game changer. Can you kind of elaborate on that? Why is an ETF so crucial?
Well, an ETF would essentially open up the floodgates for institutional investors who are currently restricted from investing directly in cryptocurrencies. It would also provide a much simpler and more regulated pathway for retail investors to gain exposure to XRP through their traditional brokerage accounts.
So it's about accessibility and legitimacy.
Precisely. Imagine being able to buy XRP right alongside your Apple or Google stock in your retirement account. That's the kind of mainstream acceptance an ETF could potentially bring.
That's a powerful image. It would signal that XRP is no longer just a speculative asset, but a legitimate investment option.
Exactly, and that shift in perception could have a real cascading effect,
Yeah.
attracting even more investors and further boosting XRP's market cap.
Okay, so we've covered the potential upside for XRP and the inherent risks, but let's zoom out for a minute and look at the bigger picture. If XRP were to actually flip Ethereum, what would that signal about the entire crypto landscape? What would it mean for investors and the future of decentralized finance?
That's a great question. It would kind of indicate a real shift in investor priorities, a move away from purely technological innovation towards a more holistic view that considers regulation, real-world utility, and community strength.
So it's not just about the tech anymore, it's about the whole package.
Right, it would suggest that investors are becoming more discerning, more focused on those projects that offer tangible solutions, and a clear path towards mainstream adoption.
That makes sense. In a market as volatile and unpredictable as crypto, investors are naturally seeking some stability and some certainty.
Exactly, and if XRP can deliver on those fronts, it could very well reshape the landscape of decentralized finance.
Now, let's circle back to something we touched on a bit earlier, Ethereum's fragmented community. You mentioned the debates around EIPs and scale-in solutions as examples. Can you give our listener a specific example of how this fragmentation has actually played out?
Sure. Remember the Ethereum Classic hard fork that happened back in 2016? That was a pretty major turning point for the Ethereum community. A disagreement over how to handle a specific hack led to a split in the blockchain, with a portion of the community choosing to remain on the original chain, while the majority moved forward with the fork chain. This division created a lot of confusion and kind of highlighted the challenges of achieving consensus in a decentralized ecosystem.
Yeah, that's a great example. It shows how different viewpoints and technical disagreements can lead to real-world consequences.
Exactly, and while Ethereum has made significant strides in addressing scalability and governance issues, the potential for fragmentation remains a concern.
Okay, so we've got this potential clash of titans, XRP with its momentum and Ethereum with its established dominance. It's a story that's still unfolding, and the outcome is far from certain. But beyond the price predictions and market movements, there's a deeper narrative at play here, a narrative about the evolving nature of crypto, the search for stability amidst all the volatility, and the quest for mainstream acceptance.
You summed it up perfectly. It's a narrative that every crypto enthusiast should be following closely.
Now, before we wrap things up, I want to pose a final thought-provoking question to our listener. We've talked about XRP potentially surpassing Ethereum in market cap, but what if it went even further? What would it take for XRP to actually become the dominant cryptocurrency? You know, the one that dethrones Bitcoin?
Now, that's a question that really gets to the heart of what we value in this whole crypto world. Bitcoin's reign has always been about decentralization. You know, its origin story is this people-powered alternative to traditional finance. So if XRP, with its closer ties to, a single company, were to kind of take over, I think it would raise some pretty fundamental questions about the future of this whole space.
So it's about control, right? Would a dominant XRP mean we're moving away from that original vision of a truly decentralized financial system?
It's definitely a possibility. I think such a shift would ignite a big debate about the role of corporations in this space and whether a more centralized model, while potentially more efficient, could actually come at the cost of those core values of decentralization.
It's a trade-off worth thinking about. Could a more centralized system actually be a good thing in some ways? I mean, it could lead to faster decision-making, smoother integration with, existing financial institutions.
There are definitely arguments to be made on both sides. A more centralized model could bring faster development, potentially less volatility, maybe even easier adoption by those mainstream institutions. But the downsides are significant. You risk concentrating power, which opens the door to censorship, manipulation, even the possibility of a single point of failure.
So it's a balancing act. Efficiency versus the ideals of a truly decentralized system. A lot for our listeners to ponder there as they watch this whole crypto drama unfold.
Absolutely, and it's a question that goes beyond just XRP and Ethereum. It's about the kind of crypto future we want to see.
Okay, so let's bring it all together. Today we explored the forces propelling XRP, those regulatory developments, a unified vision, even the global political landscape. The prediction that it could surpass Ethereum, while bold, it isn't entirely outlandish, but there are definitely risks and challenges, both for XRP and the broader crypto ecosystem.
Yeah, I think what's crucial for our listeners is to go beyond just observing, to really engage in some critical thinking about these trends. What does the rise of XRP tell us about the change in priorities of crypto investors? What are the implications of a potential shift in dominance in this space?
Fantastic points. Our final takeaway for you today is this. Don't just follow the headlines, follow the ideas. Explore the deeper meaning behind these market movements. And form your own informed perspective on the future of cryptocurrency.
Yeah, keep those minds engaged. This story is far from over.